Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Connections with Jennifer Aaliyah. Today, I am very happy to have David Doerrier here to talk to us about connections and how he really works with people to help them with that. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. This is an honor. I've been following your podcast for quite some time, and I am honored to finally be your guest.
Oh, thank you. Could you tell us more about who you serve and how you got started in doing what you do?
That's a great question. I hope you got the rest of the afternoon for this one, but it's been quite an adventure to get me to where I am today. As far as who I serve and what I do, I'm a presentation skills, facilitation skills coach, helping people to be better at engaging their audience. And I work with new speakers, new facilitators, as well as seasoned speakers and workshop folks that run workshops as well, because it's always good to get a third eye on your presentation once in a while, get an outside view, see if there's any opportunities to add additional engagement. So how did I get here? Well, I'm originally from New York. A year after high school, I joined the Air Force. That took me around the world. I eventually ended up in radio broadcasting, left active duty after 10 years, pursued my fame and fortune in radio broadcasting, started doing some theater, was still in the Air Force Reserves. And here's where that long story starts getting a little shorter, is that I was doing some training in my unit because of my background in logistics, being active duty and now in the same career field in the reserves, was doing some training in my unit. And my first sergeant came up to me in the mid-90s and said, "Would you like to be a trainer at a training facility at Dobbins Air Force Base in Georgia?" And I said, yes. And I jumped at this opportunity. And in the mid-90s, this is where I started learning the craft of training and development. How do you design training? What is the process? All of this I had to learn by the seat of my pants. The process of creating training, delivering training on a daily basis. And I found that I loved it. And along the way, after leaving that job after 7 years, I eventually ended up in a corporation where I had to design a training program for subject matter experts in the company that were going to be moving into training positions. Being a subject matter expert does not automatically make you a great trainer unless you have the basic facilitation skills. In many cases, being a subject matter expert and walking into that room with all that information and then dumping all that information on your audience, it just doesn't work. So there has to be a process. And I found I loved working with these folks, and that now has turned into a career for me.
Well, that is amazing. You had a lot of things that, kind of touched my heart. Because I grew up doing theater. It's actually how my husband and I met each other. It was doing summer stage. And so that's been a big part of our life. And I was in radio in college as a radio disc jockey for actually the largest college radio station in the Eastern Seaboard. But anyway, so that was just something that I've enjoyed. And I think that even though it wasn't something I pursued as a career, it has definitely shaped how I interact with people, how I present myself, and how I can think on my feet and problem solve. Because when you're in the middle of a performance and the show must go on, you need to just keep going.
Exactly.
So could you tell me, what does connections mean to you in terms of your business, your life, and how you're growing this, career of yours?
Great question. So here with the connections, it's multifaceted because number one, in my teachings and in my coaching, it's all about helping people connect to their audience, using principles and practices, incorporating different processes in their presentations or training or sales that's going to do a better job of connecting to their audience. So as far as myself, some of the ways that I've been connecting with my audience is networking groups. And one of the things that I've been doing for years prior to COVID and now during COVID and virtual networking groups, in most cases, a networking group will have a featured member that will be a speaker. And what I have been doing over the years is just sitting in the back of the room, taking down notes. And then at the end of the meeting, I would walk up to that presenter and then ask them, is it okay if I give you some feedback on your presentation? 9.9 times out of 10, they say yes. So with that, I kind of demonstrate how I work and that stage side manner. People can get very sensitive when it comes to their presentations. Oh, I've been doing this for years. I took a class in college. I've been selling for years. I'm good. Well, yes, but there's always room for improvement. I have a coach. I need a coach, because we just don't know how well we come across, or maybe some little areas. So to answer your question, I help people connect better to their audience, and I'm always looking for unique ways for me to reach out and connect to others and demonstrate what it is that I can help them with.
Yes. And that outside opinion is so valuable, because we get so entrenched in what we're doing that we can't always see what needs to be changed or where we are, because it's, hang on one second. Sorry, I have little people visiting. So outside perspective is so important. And that's something that I bring to my clients, because you can't always see in your marketing, like, what isn't working. And I value it so much when people say to me, like, could I just make a suggestion? Because even though that is my specialty, I can't necessarily see it for myself all the times. I'm in just like that, the tunnel vision. I'm busy with my head down working. And it's always good when someone says, can I just, make a suggestion? Especially when they do it in a kind and helpful manner. They're not being critical or difficult. They really are trying to help you. So I truly appreciate that. Oh gosh, this is where improv skills sometimes fail me. I thought I had my office door locked. Anyway, so yeah, I think that is great. And also, I think that true masters never feel like they are at a point that there's nothing that they need to improve. Yeah. I run into that as well. People say, well, I have 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. Like, I don't need help. Yes, but LinkedIn, when you got those 30,000 connections 10 years ago, is not the same platform. And are those 30,000 connections doing anything for your business? That's not the only goal. So it is important to be open to that. So what would you say overall would be something that would be one thing you would recommend to people in doing presentations that most often gets missed?
That's a great question. I've had the opportunity, as I said just a moment ago, about evaluating folks in networking groups, trainers, CEOs, people at all levels in an organization. And the one thing that comes to the top of the list more times than not is understanding your audience. In networking groups, I see it so many times. A great example, just recently, a gentleman who's an architect, a great architect. He looked great on camera. It was a virtual networking group. However, he was talking to this networking group, and we were very much like every other networking group you see. We've got the lawyers, we've got the mortgage people, the coaches, and the lawn people, the roofing guy, and all these other careers that you would normally find in a networking group. But he was presenting to us as if we were his peers at an architect convention. Mm-hmm. So all of that information is just going straight over our heads. Number one, you've got to know who your audience is. And many times I'll hear, well, David, in this architect situation, these people are not my audience. These people are not my clients. There is always, I can help anybody find a message in what you do that's going to resonate with your audience. So know your audience. There's your answer.
Yes. And if you can't connect with people in your networking group that they understand what you're doing and how you really help, then how are they going to support you to help you find those clients? Like, that's really the point of a networking group, is to come together, support each other, refer each other, and collaborate. So even though, yes, the people in the room may not be your ideal clients, you need them to, they are your audience, because they need to become your fans to really support you in networking. So that is a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. So I have really enjoyed getting to speak with you today. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience as we wrap up today?
Well, yes, on my website, presentyourwaytosuccess.com, you can go to the ebook link and download my ebook, which I have written about the adult learning theory. At the foundation of what I teach is the adult learning theory. The adult learning theory, in a nutshell, is creating engagement. How does the adult mind retain information? What are adults looking for, not only in a learning environment? The adult learning theory comes from training. However, anybody that is engaging with any type of audience can benefit from the adult learning theory, understanding how adults learn, how adults retain information, and how best to get that information to stick in that adult mind.
Sounds like a very valuable resource for everybody. Is there any other way that people can connect with you?
Through the website, through LinkedIn. I've got a very active group on LinkedIn, David Doerrier. If you find another one, let me know. It's a very unique name. The last name Doerrier, you will find my sisters, you will find my brother on LinkedIn, but not another David Doerrier. So you will find me very easily on LinkedIn.
Well, that is great. Well, thank you so much, David, for being here. It's fascinating what you do, and I learn so much every time we get to speak. So we may have to do a part 2 to talk a bit more about really connecting with your audience, because even if you aren't a performer, if you're in business, you need to be connecting with that audience some way. So this is an incredibly valuable service that you're providing to people, and I hope that everyone will go and grab that ebook. So thank you again for watching, and we will be back next Friday with a new episode of Connections with